Not even 24 hours after I made my last video in regards to the announcement that Wyverns were getting buffed in Destiny 2, which some of the community responded, man, Wyverns are getting a buff. What about Titans? We have, via Destiny Bulletin on Twitter, I do apologize, I took these when I was out, when I was doing other things, so it's a phone screenshot. We have Destiny Bulletin, the witness has now been soloed by the legend Bog on My Dog. What a Chad name. And I think this is fine. I think that this is good. And hear me out on this. You can argue that bad game design is having builds to a degree where you can start soloing content which requires multiple players. However, I would argue if it takes a lot to get that going, if it requires a high skill floor and high skill ceiling, both in tandem, I think that having content like this is not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, the necessary thing that goes from this, the necessary parallel, I guess, is a wow, I'm getting tongue-tied. I'm so sorry. Think like Pokemon, right? How many times have you played Pokemon and you've soloed it using Charizard, or soloed it using Feraligatr, or soloed it using Blaziken, right? And you think about that in a modern context, right? And it's like, well, yeah, if you try hard enough, brute force the game hard enough, know your type synergies, yeah, you can solo a lot of stuff, right? I am confident that Starmie, with the right moveset, we're talking like Psychic, Surf, Recover, Ice Beam, maybe Forgo Recover, Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, right? That kind of thing. Bolt Beam coverage. Sure, could probably solo the entirety of Fire Red, Leaf Green. Like, I don't doubt that, honestly. And you look at it from how games nowadays treat things, and we would see absolutely like, well, we've noticed that the EXP share gives far too much EXP. We're nerfing EXP gains by 15 to 20%. Oh, we're noticing that Charizard has a overabundance. Like more players are using Charizard than not. We're going to be nerfing Charizard's special attack by this. Flamethrower is going to be, being nerfed from 95 to 90. Those that have been with Pokemon as long as I have know that they have in fact nerfed moves like Flamethrower from 95 to 90. So interesting to see how that progression works out through the generations. But when you start looking at this and you start looking at games, how it used to be balanced and how we're balancing it nowadays, we start getting into how Bungie is addressing this. And I want you to look at the timestamps on this, right? We have, right, 4:14 a.m. on July 24th, right? Or sorry, July 11th, 2024. I can't tell time. Versus about noon. So about in an 8-hour period of time, Bungie, and by extension Sony, deemed it was worth their time to say, we're going to nerf this. And now we have people in the comment section that cite, well, yeah, Hunters do need a nerf. They're clearly the best DPS option, right? And yeah, I mean, with Warlock, what am I running? I'm running Slova Bomb. I'm running Chaos Reach if I'm running Arc. Running Shotgun with Strand, right? The big Strand super. Hunters, I think, are in a good place, but I think that kind of balances out because Hunters, like, there are a lot of melee abilities. I don't know. I actually, due to my last video, have started showing less and less interest in Destiny, if anything. To me, I feel that I was more than justified in making that video, and more than justified in these calls, because we have people Bungie clearly didn't like the fact that Wisp got soloed faster than it takes me to load into the tower, or to address that, 4% of the people that cleared Salvation's Edge were Titans, right? Mass issues with Titans. People, I love Titans. I love my Titan mains, okay? If you in 2024 are still a bubble main Titan, I love you, okay? You are actually just built different. So it's interesting to see this. It's interesting to see where their priorities lie. It's interesting to see that modern games, and this extends also off of Bungie, they care more about nerfing things and care more about the retention experience than buffing things to make a coherent experience. See, there's two sides of their whole argument, of the argument where, well, we look at metrics. We look at what's seeing play, what doesn't see play. Oh, Kvostov is seeing a, 50 to 70% usage rate in trials on, like, opening weekend. Okay, probably going to nerf that bullet, right? The ricochet round, right? And stuff like that makes sense, but when is the last time Darcy's been used? When's the last time Darcy's been meta? When's the last time you went into a raid and saw Queensbreaker, right? When's the last time you saw Merciless being used in any capacity in any LFG that you've done, right? I mean, you're going to a raid, you're doing something like Planets. Okay, what are we running? Gallahorn Rockets? Apex Predator? Are we running Linears? I mean, I can pull out Sleeper Simulant. We can do that. Are we using Outbreak Perfected? Which I called and people said, oh, Kip, no, they're never gonna nerf Outbreak. Dude, they're gonna nerf Outbreak. Like, I've called this since we were able to craft it. The nanites do way too much damage. You regenerate way too much super. When me and my buddy can duo Warlords final boss in a single phase using Tether, Slova Bomb, and dual Outbreak, you have a game problem. So thus, we run into the issue where Bungie only seems like they want to half uphold this from a gameplay perspective, where, yeah, we only had 4% of Titans that actually cleared Salvation's Edge in that first week, right? Well, we need to address that versus, it's the eyes open, red glare meme when they see that the Witness gets soloed. Immediately, 8 hours, they're on that. They're like, this is what we're doing. I don't think that that's necessarily a healthy business model. And if you like Destiny, I'm not saying you can't like Destiny, right? I still like it. I still like teaching Root of Nightmares. The issue I run into with Destiny is that I need players to run with, and I've put in the time up front. I've run Garden LFG. I've at the point that I can duo plates, right? And that's not to harp on anyone's skill level, anyone that comes out. No, that's not to do that, right? If I want to learn Salvation's Edge, I need to go sit in a Sherpa group, and I need to be like, okay, I'm here to learn. I know nothing, right? Or if I'm looking for a Garden clear, I can't be sitting 3 hours in Garden, and we're wiping at the same point back to back to back to back, especially if me and one other person are duoing plates. Or you're under the odd chat in LFG that can just solo plates and planets, right? When you have 4 people on ad clear and they can't keep ads done, like, that's a problem. So I think that the call was that we're going to see people dropping Destiny, not only because the final shape was done, like I said in the last video, literally that I recorded yesterday, right? We're going to see people exiting from that because they're done. They're done. The Witness storyline's done. They're out, right? Marvel, The Avengers, Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, right? People definitely haven't watched The Hobbit, right? Lord of the Rings is done. Star Wars, episode 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, right? Some people didn't watch the sequel trilogy, right? Some people haven't played Halo 4, 5, 6, well, 4, 5 Infinite, right? And in tandem with that, we're also seeing a repeat, we're just going to look at certain things. We're going to look at what sees usage or what doesn't see usage. But when something like this comes out where an exceptionally skilled player does something, and I don't know how easy it is to recreate this build, right? See my prior comment on, as long as it can be doable, but it can't be handed to everybody. Starfire Protocol, I agree, needed to be nerfed. 90%, maybe it was a bit much. I agree it needed to be nerfed, though. 100%. Because I could just not pay attention and do like 4 million damage to Atheon in an LFG, right? Pretty nutty. So that is to say that Destiny's in a very weird place. I will still hop on to do GMs. I will still hop on probably like the first week of each episode. As far as the next expansion, I'm not really sold on that quite yet. Final Shape is still young. The story was good, and if it gets to a point where the servers take a dive, Sony and Bungie decide to cut this off, if people mass leave the community because certain changes like this ended up happening, I'm out nothing. In fact, I'm playing more Final Fantasy XIV now, which, wink, wink, we do stream sometimes over on twitch.tv/KazinaKip. I don't know, what are your thoughts? The fact that this came out so soon after, right? I'm just like, I have to cover this. This is so strange to me. And it really does come down to, think about new Pokemon games, right? What if Gen 10 launches, right? And it does come down to, the EXP share is giving way too much experience. We're just going to nerf it by 5, 10, 15%. Or, we noticed that Chanseys and Blissies are giving an inappropriate amount of XP for what you're getting, because we had Blissey bases back in Oraz, right? We had Blissey bases to help level, right? And, we're just going to nerf that, right? And take it to Call of Duty. I mean, if there's something that is not maybe like super egregious, but they end up just like, we're just gonna nerf it because too many people are using it, right? Or we want, like, there's never gonna be a perfect game. You have to acknowledge that. And at the end of the day, especially when it comes to a live service, when you have multiple live services vying for your attention, you have to pick and choose what you want to do. So let me know in the comment section what you guys think. Do you think this is a good nerf? Do you think this is a bad nerf? I think that this is a good nerf in practice. I think from a design perspective, I think this shows where Bungie's priorities are, and I really kind of feel bad for Titans. And last of all, especially if you find them in LFG, if you find a Bubble Titan, tell them I love them, okay? Tell them that you love them and that they deserve the entire, they deserve the exotic, okay? They're doing God's work out there, as Joshua Graham would say.